Okay, think about this for a second. Imagine billions of tiny ghost particles passing straight through you right now.
Billions every second.
Or picture this. The way we feel happiness, our collective happiness, seems to be changing, like shifting across generations.
Yeah, in
There,
surprising ways.
and then, get this, AI trying to brew your next beer.
Oh, right.
These aren't just weird facts. They're actually glimpses into this amazing, often invisible structure that shapes, well, everything. Our universe, our lives.
Exactly. And that's our mission today, isn't it? To really take a deep dive into these fascinating sources you've pulled together.
Yeah.
They touch on, the real edges of physics, how human well-being actually works on the inside, and some really cutting-edge tech stuff. We're going to pull out the key bits, the important nuggets, try and connect some dots for you.
Yeah, leave you with some things to chew on.
Hopefully some genuinely thought-provoking insights. Might even change how you see things a little.
We've got some incredible material lined up. I'm really looking forward to unpacking it all. From these massive underground labs to ancient health tips.
It's quite the mix.
It really is. So let's jump right into this deep dive, explore these unseen forces. Okay, kicking us off. This first topic feels like pure science fiction almost. The world of neutrinos and this huge project in China, the JUNO observatory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's massive.
The sources paint this picture of a facility that's just enormous, like a cavern 12 stories high.
Right. And it's deep underground.
Yeah.
700 meters, which is what, about 2,300 feet?
Yeah, under a mountain. In southern Guangxi province, the scale is just hard to grasp, all for these tiny particles.
It really is something. And neutrinos, well, they're those elementary particles you mentioned, the ghost particles.
Because they just pass through everything.
Pretty much. No electric charge, almost no mass. Well, we thought almost no mass. They zip through matter like it's not even there. Billions are going through you, through me, right now. And here's the really profound part, I think. These tiny things, they're challenging our most basic ideas about the universe.
How so?
Well, for decades, the standard model of particle physics, that's our best rule book for particles and forces.
Right.
It actually said neutrinos had zero mass. None.
But that's wrong.
We now know it's definitely wrong. And that discovery, that tiny mass, it's like a whisper,
A whisper of what?
that there's probably entirely new physics out there. Stuff beyond what we currently understand, things the standard model just doesn't cover.
Okay, that is a huge deal. So JUNO, this incredibly complex setup, 26 miles from nuclear power plants.
Yeah.
What do they actually try to find?
Right. So JUNO's main job over the next 10 years or so is to measure the properties of electron antineutrinos very, very precisely.
Antineutrino is like antimatter neutrino.
Exactly. And the nearby nuclear power plants, they're a perfect controlled source of these antineutrinos.
Ah, okay. So how do they see them if they're ghosts?
Well, they don't see them directly. They look for these tiny, faint blue flashes of light.
Flashes?
Yeah, produced when an antineutrino occasionally bumps into this special liquid detector called a liquid scintillator.
Okay.
And surrounding this huge tank of liquid are 40,000 incredibly sensitive light detectors. Photomultiplier tubes, they pick up those faint flashes.
40,000. Wow.
And what they're really digging into is something called neutrino oscillation.
Right, oscillation. That's where they change flavors you mentioned. Can you break that down a bit? And this mass hierarchy thing.
Sure. So neutrino oscillation, it was confirmed maybe 20 years back by experiments like Super Kamiokande, Sudbury Neutrino Observatory. This is really bizarre quantum effect.
Bizarre.
Neutrinos actually morph. They change between their three types or flavors, electron, muon, and tau as they fly through space.
They just change identity?
Kinda, yeah. It's quantum mechanics, it gets weird. So JUNO's goal is to measure the rates of these changes, these oscillations, with extreme precision.
Okay. And why? What does that tell them?
That helps them figure out the neutrino mass hierarchy.
Which,
basically putting them in order by weight. Which flavor is the heaviest, which is in the middle, which is the lightest.
seems like a tiny detail.
It sounds like it, right? But pinning down this order is actually crucial. Like we said, the fact they have mass at all and oscillate tells us the standard model isn't the full story.
Got it. So finding the weight order is another clue.
A big clue. It's another hint that our fundamental map of the universe needs updating. There's more out there.
So figuring out the weight order of these ghost particles could really unlock cosmic secrets. That's where it gets super interesting.
Absolutely. The results from JUNO, they could give us vital insights into some of the absolute biggest questions in science.
Like what?
Like understanding the universe right after the Big Bang. getting a handle on dark matter and dark energy.
The stuff that makes up most of the universe, but we can't see.
Exactly. Makes
Yeah.
up like 95% of everything, but we know almost nothing about it. JUNO's data could shed light there, and ultimately it helps refine our understanding of the fundamental forces that run the whole show. So if you zoom out, you see that trying to understand these tiniest, most elusive particles, it has massive implications for the biggest questions about reality itself.
It really connects the small and the large.
Totally. We're pushing the known boundaries,
Yeah.
maybe even rewriting physics textbooks. It challenges everything we thought we knew and opens up whole new areas to explore.
Okay, so we've peered deep underground at these almost invisible particles that are shaking up physics. But what about the invisible forces shaping, us, our own inner world? Our next deep dive look at some surprising and maybe slightly concerning shifts in human happiness. It suggests there might be a similar kind of unseen reordering happening in our emotional lives.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
The sources talk about this idea that, historically anyway, human happiness followed a pretty predictable pattern, the U-shaped curve, they call it.
Right, the idea being you're happiest when you're young, then it dips down in middle age.
Yeah.
The sort of midlife crisis zone.
Yeah, lowest point of misery, some call it.
And then it climbs back up again in older age.
And this wasn't just a theory, right? It was seen globally.
Yeah, supported by lots of big surveys,
Yeah.
Gallup, CEPR, UK studies, US studies. It seemed like a pretty solid cross-cultural thing.
Okay, so what's changing?
Well, this is where it gets interesting and, like you said, a bit concerning. The sources show a pretty significant shift happening since around 2010.
A shift how?
That U-shape. It seems to be flattening out, particularly for younger people. Gen Z, younger millennials.
So they're not as happy in youth as previous generations were.
Globally, their reported happiness levels seem to be declining,
Yeah.
which is a real break from that historical pattern where youth was typically a peak time.
Wow. What's the takeaway there?
Well, the critical point, I think, is that this flattening curve for young people is like a silent alarm.
An alarm about what?
It challenges this easy assumption that, technological progress and being more connected automatically makes us happier.
Right.
It forces us to look at the potential hidden costs of living in this hyper-connected digital world and maybe rethink how we support mental health, especially for younger generations.
That's a really profound point. It makes you wonder why, though. What do the sources say might be causing this decline in youth happiness? It sounds complicated.
It definitely seems to be. Not just one thing. The sources point to a few potential culprits.
Like?
Well, heavy social media use comes up a lot, which can tie into smartphone addiction, feeling overwhelmed by information.
Information overload, yeah?
Sleep disruption is another factor mentioned, and just the constant pressure of comparing yourself to others online. That comparison culture.
That makes sense. It feels like a lot of pressure.
It does. These factors combined seem to create a uniquely challenging environment for young people's mental well-being today.
Anything else?
Yeah, something else that stood out was how parents' happiness might play a role too. Things like their job satisfaction could, indirectly ripple down and affect the kids' well-being. It paints a more connected picture of societal pressures.
That's a lot to think about. These invisible social currents really shaping how we feel collectively.
Absolutely. And zooming out again, the bigger picture isn't just about individual moods, right? It points towards a growing global mental health challenge, particularly among younger
A
groups.
crisis, almost?
Could be heading that way.
Yeah.
It definitely questions our ideas about progress. Are we getting better if well-being is dropping for some? It forces us to think about the long-term impacts and how we can maybe help build more resilience, find genuine happiness in this modern world.
Okay, so we've gone from cosmic mysteries to these deep shifts in our emotional lives. Let's maybe bring it a bit closer to home now.
Sounds good.
Explore how both really old wisdom and super new intelligence are kind of redefining things that affect us daily, our health, and even our beer.
Ancient wisdom and AI beer. Okay.
Ha! Yeah. Let's start with saunas. Surprisingly powerful health benefits here, according to the sources.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, they're linked to lower risks of cardiovascular disease, for one, and dementia.
Wow, dementia. That's significant.
Isn't it? But there's more. Also linked to a stronger immune system, lower blood pressure, better circulation, and just plain old stress reduction.
Okay, that's quite a list. Is there solid evidence?
Seems like it. They mentioned this long-term Finnish study. Over 30 years they followed people.
Okay.
It found men who used a sauna, say 2-3 times a week, had a 22% lower risk of cardiovascular disease.
That's pretty good.
But get this, use it 4-7 times a week. That was linked to a 60 to 80% lower risk of dementia.
60 to 80%, that's huge. How does that even work?
Yeah, what really stands out is the mechanism. The heat itself seems to trigger really beneficial responses in the body.
Like exercise.
Kind of, yeah. Remarkably similar effects to moderate exercise, actually. Your body releases stress hormones in a good way. It activates these things called heat shock proteins, which help cells, and it improves how your blood vessels work.
So you get exercise benefits without
Well,
exercising?
in a way, yes. It offers comparable benefits, which makes it a pretty powerful and, let's face it, usually enjoyable wellness tool. Definitely sounds more fun than jogging sometimes.
Right. Which makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why aren't more people using this?
Yeah.
It seems so accessible, enjoyable, and the long-term benefits look substantial.
Good question. Were there any caveats? Did it work for everyone?
Ah, good point. The sources did note some nuance. While studies, especially out of Copenhagen and Finland, showed similar benefits for women, some other studies found the benefits for older white men were maybe less clear-cut.
Okay.
So, generally positive, but maybe some differences depending on the population. Needs more research, as always.
Still pretty compelling stuff from just sitting in a hot room. Okay, let's shift gears completely. From ancient wellness to futuristic booze.
Right. AI and beer brewing.
Yeah, it sounds like a gimmick, maybe. But the sources talk about Beck's creating this AI-designed beer called Chat Top Day.
Chat up that, like ChatGPT.
Exactly. They did it for their 150th anniversary, used AI to pick the ingredients, apparently drawing on huge databases of beer knowledge flavors.
Okay, so how did it taste? Was it amazing? The future of beer?
Well, the description was hoppy, peaty, watery, and a bit salty.
Watery and salty. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Beck's themselves kind of honestly admitted it wasn't, quote, the best. They called it solid, though.
Huh. Okay, solid AI beer. Are others trying this? Apparently so. The sources mention an Our Brewery IPA and a Cordero Brewery Mexican lager also designed with AI help.
So what's the takeaway here? Is AI the next master brewer or not?
Well, what seems fascinating is this line between what AI can do, analyze tons of data, generate recipes based on patterns, and what maybe it can't do,
The human touch.
Exactly. The sources really suggest that human stuff like empathy or just that gut feeling a brewer has is still pretty crucial.
To make it actually drinkable and enjoyable.
Right, to make it brewable in the first place and then something people actually want to drink. AI can follow rules, crunch data. But that artistry, that subjective feel for flavor, seems like that still needs the human element.
For now, anyway.
For now. It definitely raises the question, doesn't it? Will AI ever really get that creative intuition? Or will there always be this irreplaceable human spark needed for things like brewing or art or music, where the goal is evoking pleasure and a specific feeling?
That's a great question. What an incredible journey we've taken today, really.
It really has been something.
From, the ghostly dance of neutrinos deep underground shaking up our physics.
To the shifting sands of happiness in our connected world.
And then landing on ancient sauna wisdom and AI trying its hand at beer.
Yeah, we've seen how these incredibly different areas are just constantly changing, aren't they? Pushing what we know. From the tiniest particles to society, even to our drinks. And if you connect it all, zooming out, it just highlights how linked everything is. Science, society, technology, they all influence each other.
And how much more there is to learn.
Always so much more to learn and discover. These invisible structures shaping everything.
So, for you listening, we really hope this deep dive gave you a bit of a shortcut. Helped you feel informed, sparked some curiosity maybe.
Gave you a few of those aha moments.
Yep, exactly. Those moments are the best part of learning. So, here's a final thought to leave you with. If the universe is packed with particles so weird we call them ghosts, and our own happiness is being swayed by these invisible forces we can't really touch, like social media or connection,
Right.
then maybe the biggest deep dive we could possibly take is trying to understand that invisible architecture itself. Both the cosmic stuff and the social stuff, the things that shape our reality without us always seeing them.
That's a powerful thought.
What other hidden truths are just waiting out there, just beyond what we can currently see or measure, influencing everything from the stars to our mood, maybe even the taste of our next beer.